This is Brian, Screenfiles.com and Trail into Reaction. And this is beer, which I'm going to need because what I'm looking at today is the final trailer for the second part of It, based on the Stephen King novel. And I need beer because I was very, very, very unimpressed by the first movie. It was well produced, it looked great, and it had a visual language going for it. But at the same time, it was just, I wouldn't say fluffy, but for a horror movie, it had no bite. It had nothing to draw me into it. It was, as I said, it's not a terrible movie by any stretch. It's just a very blah movie. And frankly, I would prefer terrible over blah, to be totally honest, in many instances, because at least with terrible, there was an attempt to try something. And it went off the fucking rails. But at least there was that attempt. And that's interesting sometimes. Not always, to be sure. But sometimes that's really interesting. It, to me, felt flat. Like a beer, like a domestic beer, like, I don't know, Budweiser or Miller. It may look good, but there ain't no flavor there. No alcohol either, for the most part. So I wasn't going to do this reaction trailer. But I started to think about it a little, because I needed an in. I needed some way to approach this material. If you think back to the original It miniseries, the first part was so good. And a lot of that has to do with Tim Curry's depiction of Pennywise. But in any case, the first part was so good of the television miniseries It. The second part jumped the shark. And part of the reason it jumped the shark was that the true form of the evil that manifested as Pennywise the Clown was so far from Pennywise that it was just kind of silly. And think of it for a second. It doesn't really make sense. I didn't read It, the novel, so I can't say that entity, as epitomized in the second chapter of It that was on television, is inaccurate. From what I hear, it's not. In any case, it's too much of a leap, visually speaking and just logically speaking. And it also doesn't really make sense in that as Pennywise the Clown, this entity was so threatening and such a danger. Why would it be a stupid big... Spiders are awesome, actually. Love spiders. But in the context of It, Chapter 2, why would it be a stupid big spider that has seemingly none of the capabilities of Pennywise the Clown? It's almost like a step down. It's kind of ridiculous. And it doesn't stand up to... Well, none of it stands up to scrutiny. But in terms of logic, it falls apart. It's this big, essentially helpless creature, while when it embodies Pennywise, though, it has all these abilities and it shapeshifts, and it's just really malevolent. But it's not. It's stupid. It makes no sense. So this is my in. Suppose It Chapter 2, the new version, turns that formula on its ear. In other words, wherever It Chapter 2 goes, it sure as hell is not going to go. I can almost promise you this. It's not going to go in the direction of a huge freaking spider. That doesn't mean necessarily it's going in a good place. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is you're not going to have a dopey big spider. I hope. Because then, if it does go that route, never mind Stephen King's novel, it's not only going to be ridiculous and potentially fail, it would deserve it. So whatever direction it's going, I don't know if we're going to see much of the big spider. But that said, let's take a look at the final trailer for It, Chapter 2.
Something happens to you when you leave this town. The farther away, the hazier it all gets. But me, I never left. I remember all of it.
To the losers.
We made an oath.
I swear. If it isn't dead, if it ever comes back, we'll come back to you.
We didn't stop it.
Pennywise. The clown.
We can't let it happen again.
Hello?
Kid!
Hello?
Kid! Hello. Please.
For 27 years, I dreamt of you. I craved you. I missed you.
We need to finish it. For good.
I've seen all of us die. It consumes us from the inside until we don't have a choice anymore.
You lied. And I died. You lied. And I died.
Well, that was the final trailer for Stephen King's It. And it looks like, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to see no freaking giant spiders, which is good, because that didn't work with the original miniseries. That being said, I still don't know. It didn't look bad by any stretch. But then again, the trailers for the first part didn't look bad. And Andy Muschietti is a competent director. So I don't think you're going to see his work ever look bad, whatever that means for you. But at the same time, is this going to be scary? I somehow doubt it. And let's be honest, James Wan doesn't do scary movies. He does horror movies, to be sure. Scary movies? No. Bunch of jump scares, a lot of cliches, a lot of silliness. Yeah, he does that. That's his ballywick. I get it. It's what you're good at. Keep doing it. More power to you. But he doesn't do horror movies. And looking at the final trailer for It Chapter 2, it looks very James Wan-esque. By which I mean, you get all the accoutrements of a horror movie, all the outward shit. Nothing, it has no heart. It has none, it doesn't have any passion behind it. Any fear behind it isn't there. And I know that because James Wan's movies are like that. And this looks like that. So if you're really in horror movies, It Chapter 2 is probably not going to work for you. The first didn't work for me. And I have a sneaking suspicion the second's going to follow that trend. I hope it doesn't. I hope it follows the trend of the television It miniseries, in which case the first part was brilliant and the second part kind of sucked balls. While with the movie, the first part kind of sucks balls. The second part is hopefully brilliant. We'll see. This is Brian of ScreenFiles.com and Trailer into Reaction.